No makeup tonight. It's late. I'm actually a little bit hot in this hoodie thing here. I just wanted to make a video. I've been ruminating since Thursday. Yeah, since Thursday. Yeah, it's taking me a while to get my thoughts together now because I like wearing that hoodie with the topless breasts because I have this slight dysphoria thing with how wide my shoulders are, like 22 inches or whatever they are, 6'4". And while the rest of my body is feminizing really well, I look at my shoulders and I'm like, ah. But it's okay, I'll deal with it. It's just too warm in here for the hoodie right now. It gets hot in these apartments, but I've lived here for 7 years, so I'm used to. Anyways, I went to VA with my social worker, and Daniel's been my social worker for 8 years now, 9 years. I've been on the HUD VASH program since 2011, so 11 years. Probably closer to 10 years he's been my social worker. He's a really cool cat, you know, like he's, I trust him, you know, and it's hard for me to trust authority figures. It's hard for, every time I've had a social worker or tried to go to therapy in my life, I fired them because I find them to be controlling and manipulative and judgmental, and I live a different kind of way than other people do, you know. I approach life differently. I do what I want. You know, and that is like a bravado kind of statement usually for most people, or aggression. And for me, it's not. For me, I sincerely do what I want. I think about what I want first, and I do what I want. And part of that comes from is the way I am. Like I grew up like that. Like I would look at something and I would think about it and I would decide what the pros and the cons were, and was I going to get in trouble, and was it going to hurt, and usually I would end up deciding that, yes, I want to go do something. And then, you know, if I had bad experience, I would try it twice just to make sure the first time wasn't a fluke. You know, and so I've been working this out all my life. And now at 52 years old, you know, I've got a long list of things that, yes, they hurt, and yes, I'm not going to do them. You know, like, you know, putting your hand on a stove when it's on. You know, you don't want to be on fire. You know, not lighting a match when you have gasoline on you. You know, there's a long list of things you learn in life just not to do. But everything else I will usually do because I like it. I'm sex positive, I'm body positive, I'm really come from a place of joy and love and adventure and fun. Whereas I find that most people filter life through a fear response. You know, because all fear eventually is boiled down to basically a fear of the dark, you know. And so that puts me sorry. That puts me coming from a different perspective frequently than other people. You know, so other people can see me do something and say something, and they interpret it through a lens of aggression and fear and hostility and insecurity and things like that. So when I say I do what I want and you can't stop me, they interpret that through a lens of fear, like I'm saying I'm going to do whatever I want, like in an aggressive way. And if you try to stop me, you're going to be in trouble. No, it's just when I say you can't stop me, it's just a waste of your time and mine and a waste of your energy. Because you can't stop me from doing what I want. So, you know, as a boy, for years, Daniel tried to get me opened up to him. And I'd be like, yo, look, man, I'm a boy. My feelings ain't none of your business. I don't know what the hell you're doing. I'm not unpacking all this stuff. And part of it was because Daniel didn't really see me. And when I say that, it's not an insult to Daniel. I have this problem with a lot of people. A girl come over here and I said something to her about who she was, and, you know, blah, blah. She was like, well, how do you know that? And I was like, because I see you. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I see you. I look at you. And I'm not looking at you through my fear biases and my boxes and my threat recognition. I look at you and I'm looking at your face and your body posture and the way your eyes sparkle or sorrow, or, the way that you respond to certain things that are said, what you talk about, what you like, what you don't like, what your name is. I had another girl come over here. Her name was Maria with a Y. And she come back like a couple weeks later. I was like, hey, it's Maria with a Y. She was like, you remember my name? And she was like, you were drunk and it was late. And I was like, but I see you. And part of that is that when people speak, I listen to them, and I talk a lot. And now, especially since the estrogen, I talk nonstop. So a lot of times, because I talk a lot and I talk about what's going on in my life and things, people oftentimes get the impression from me that I'm really not listening to them. But years later, I can look at you and go, yeah, you told me that story, and I can tell you the whole damn story, details and everything. I'm like, you remember that? And I'll be like, yeah, I was your friend. I was listening when you told me this story. It's a part of who you are. Be like, holy crap. But it's because I see people. Instead of looking at people through a fear-based pattern or through an agenda, or putting people in little boxes. When I meet someone and look at them, I look at them. And so for a long time, I would get really mad at Daniel because I would tell him something. He would go, so I'm hearing you say, like I could be like, look, I'm upset because blah, blah, blah happened. So what I'm hearing you say is that you're sad and lonely and blah, blah, blah. And sorry, I'll be like, yo, dude, that's not what I said to you. Let's try it again. And be like, well, I'm doing this active listening. And I said, and I'm paraphrasing. I said, no, you're not. You're filtering it through your fear bias and your little social worker hat and everything, and you're regurgitating back to me feelings that I did not express to you. And I'd be like, and it gets really old trying to talk to somebody who can't see me. And that was back when I was a boy. I used to get really upset about it and frustrated, and I'd just shut down and I wouldn't talk about anything. I'd go to talking about politics and politically correct speech and feminism and all the button topics people talk about. Because those are safe, So Daniel came, it was really cold. I needed to get you'll see at the end of my little video that I put up, it says I got my sweatshop that I worked really hard for, so I got to clap. Yeah. Not the kind of thing people usually admit to, right? Told you I ain't got no shame. I put off going to the doctor for a minute because it was really cold out and I don't have a jacket. I've had a hard time trying to find a girl jacket that fits me, being a giant. So Daniel came and got me, which meant I could wear my mini skirt and my corset and my gloves and my socks and look really hot, So we go and he's walking around with me and we're talking and he did this thing again. And I said, look, Daniel, you're not seeing me. You hear me, you filter it through your bias, and you regurgitate something back to me. And this time, I'm different now. I'm calm, I have no hostility, I have no aggression, I have no frustration from the anxiety, from the PTSD. But you could see Daniel, he kind of went up on his tiptoes a little bit because he's a good foot shorter than me, His hair came up and he had this little red spot that was blooming like a lotus on his forehead. And he's like, so tell me, I just looked at him and I said, Daniel, sweetie, where does this frustration that you feel come from? He looked at me and started thinking about it. He looked at me again. Yeah, I do. I do that all the time. People, they're supposed to be the doctors and the social workers and the whatever, and I give them psychotherapy. And so he's like, and I said, look, Daniel, you're just not seeing me. And about that time, the nurse called us in to draw the blood. And she was a little brusque at first. She was polite and friendly, but she was a little brusque. And I looked at her and I looked at her eyes, I said, these piercing blue. Like blue, like winter, frozen water, sky, froth, blue. Your eyes change color when you change emotions, don't you? You're like, yeah. She was like, my husband's learned to talk to me after all these years. Not to talk to me when my eyes get to be a certain color. Put her little fangs out a little bit, right? But I saw that. I just looked at her, and it was part of what we were talking about. Daniel sitting across the little room from us. She gets up, and we're talking, and, I'm talking to Daniel. I'm continuing this conversation about, seeing me. You're filtering this stuff through your biases and your boxes. Like, you asked me in the hallway why I'm so adamant, and you're giving it a flavor of aggression and forcefulness. And I'm like, I'm not adamant. This is joyful exuberance. And when you fail to see me, instead of being angry and frustrated like I used to be with all my anxiety I have for the estrogen, now I'm being patient and I'm trying to explain it to you. But you're seeing the intensity of my joy, and you're interpreting that as aggression through your fear matrix, right? And all my life I've been used to it ever since I hit puberty. Not only was I intense, but I was large and I was loud. You hear how quiet I'm talking? I had to learn to do this as a young adult. Because it was guaranteed no matter what I did, even going up into my 50s. When I went out in the world, it was a 50-50 chance where someone was overtly afraid of me. Like you could just see it glaze. When somebody's afraid and you just see the fear glaze in their eyes. I could smile. I could be dressed real nice, smiling, kind, soft voice, put out my hand, smile, and say, hi, I'm John, how are you? And you just see the fear and watch them just cringe inward on themselves. Because I scared people. And I just got used to it. It was a 50-50 chance you could flip a coin. Sometimes it was more than half the people, sometimes it was less than half the people. But you could see they were afraid. You could see people come up to me on the street and pick words with me because they got insecure and were afraid. People would make friends with me and then try to make fun of me and embarrass me because they were afraid. They were insecure. And they resented me for it. But I didn't do anything for them. And I'd get just a little bit excited. And people would be like, whoa, calm down, you're so mad. And I'd be like, no, you ain't even seen mad yet. I don't allow myself to get mad in public with people because when I do, people pee on themselves a little bit and start reaching for their phones like I'm about to go, yeah. So I learned a long time ago not to let go of my anger and not to yell at full volume. But just what would be cute for someone else being mildly irritated. It's scary to other people when I do it because of my intensity and the way I look and the look in my eyes and my energy and everything. So I learned a long time ago to keep everything in control, in check, and still would scare people. Well, one of the beautiful things about my transition is now with the estrogen, especially with the absence of the anxiety and all the negative emotions and the trauma I've been dealing with for years that I've been working on for the last 10 years in chunks and pieces and dribbles and to get rid of out of my life and out of my soul and my body and everything. Is that now almost everybody, 19 out of 20 people, respond to me in a positive fashion. Yeah. Like positive, like me. Like smile at me, smile back at me, want to be my friend, And so the lady's taking my blood, and I looked, and her name tag was hung with a cute little cat, almost like anime kind of thing. And I said, oh, look at your pretty kitty, that's so nice, that's cool. And we got into this whole conversation about her rescuing cats and dogs and everything, and Daniel was just sitting there looking at me. And when we left, I had to go to the room to get the shot. That was my blood draw. And we were talking, and I said, do you see how I did that, Daniel? He said, yeah. He said, that's amazing. I said, yeah, because I looked at her and I saw her. I saw who she was, which left me 20 or 30 things to conversate with her. But when I left you, the last thing she said to me was, very nice to meet me and talk to me. Smiling, you know? Because I saw her, I looked at her and I actually saw her as a human being for herself. Not for what I wanted, not for what I feared, where I liked, or, what I wanted to judge. I just looked at her and saw her. Same thing in the shot thing. I got my shot, we left, and we're walking out, and, 150 to 200 people saw me in that little trip around the world on Thursday. And every one of them looked at me. And he interpreted that through a lens of aggression too. And I was like, no, I'm not being aggressive about it. And I'm not being like all the things that are saying. I said that I am dressed and looking in such a manner that people are looking at me, and where it's for good or bad. I was like, I've been telling people all along that people are going to see me. They're going to look at me. They're going to think about me. Maybe they'll talk about me, but they will remember me. And that gets interpreted all kinds of ways, and I'm glad that it does, because, I'm being bold and epic and everything else, But the point is that, like it or not, I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to be me. And I walk down the street with my chin up, and I look people in the eye, and I smile when I see them looking at me. Where they're looking at me like they want to know me, or where they're looking at me like they wish they could put the scarlet letter and trap me out in the wilderness to die alone with the wolves. I still smile back at them. I don't make up posts and all these women. The one group is really positive, and our group, they're trying to be positive, but they got all these people in the wings that come out are negative, and all these people came out and were negative. And the one woman was like, I was like, look, I don't have to defend myself. I said, these people are coming from the wrong place. They're coming thinking that they're making fun of me and hurting my feelings, and be mean to me and everything. And I'm like, they looked at me. They thought about me. They talked about me. They will remember me. I was like, I don't have to respond and argue with them. I don't have to engage in their negativity, because they're coming from the wrong perspective. They're coming from a fear-based perspective, thinking that they're hurting me. Whereas I'm coming from a joy-based perspective, going, look at me, look at me, look at me. And you know what? Everybody's looking. And I was like, participation was mandatory, and they participated, so I thanked them for their participation. You can't stop me. Your mama can't stop me. I'm gonna be me. And you see the smile, tone of voice. There's no aggression here. The only aggression that there is the intensity of joy and exuberance and having fun that I'm having. I'm kind of off the hook. I've been off the hook in gregarious for a long time as a performer, a musician, as someone who's been in front of a camera for decades. And I have a big personality now. And it's just getting bigger. But anyways, babies, I hope that everybody's warm and loved and fed. And remember, love makes the world go round. Love somebody. Forgive somebody. Don't let your pride kill you. Love and forgiveness are more important than pride. But you gotta come to a place where you can let go of your fear to realize that. Bye-bye till next time.